Hello there, I'm Perry from Reddit and Rind, and it's an exciting day because you have received, if you bought it yourself or someone got it for you, one of our mystery cheese boxes. Now, mystery cheese boxes, a bit of a baby of mine. We've been doing it for a number of years now to support the British artisan cheese industry. Yes, every one of these cheeses in your box is British and it's fantastic, and it's from this maturing room. And I create this kind of collection together so they all work with one another. We mature them for a bit longer, and I kind of give you the best of what's in my room for this month. And it's Easter, so you know a lot of families going to be tucking into our boxes over the Easter period, which I'm really excited about. So there's a little kind of nod to some kind of Easter things. No, I'm not putting cheese in an egg. I'm not that bad. So let's go through all the cheeses, You know, so in your box you would have got your tasting notes, so you can read through those as you go through. You've got care notes in there, extra cheese wrapping paper that if you can't finish them off, you can wrap them perfectly, and some biscuits. And we've opted for the toast this month, which is usually rare for us because we usually do the Peter's Yard, but we felt like you need a little bit of sweetness that's in there. Now, two things, they're highly addictive. And secondly, try not to eat them with all the cheeses, okay? Try the cheese first and then see how they work out. Otherwise, you're going to get a lot of sweet from your cheese when sometimes I just wanted you to have a little bit of savoury. So use these as a break. But if you want to get the real quintessential flavours that are going on in there, try them raw. So let's walk through our 5 cheeses. First cheese up, Spenwood, made by Village Made Cheeses down in Berkshire, Riesling. I think that's the name of the village. This is a unpasteurised pecorino style, you know. So they come into us like this. Got a nice natural rind on there. Beautiful kind of aroma that comes off them, but this is what they look like whole to you. And we keep them for a little bit longer, but actually, you know, these are working around about 5 to 6 months at the moment, which are doing pretty well. And you know, it's a sheep's milk cheese, which is quite cool because we're in like kind of lambing season, right? And you've got you know, Easter coming up, which everyone traditionally has, you know, for Easter dinner, right? So let's give it a smell. So you've got some real savoury notes that are in there, a little bit meaty. You've got that little bit of citrus freshness that's coming through, nothing too overpowering, and kind of a little bit of a degree of saltiness. And when you run the cheese through your fingers, you can recognise what So this cheese was made by Anne Wigmore, a legend of British artisan cheese making. She was on a sabbatical in Sardinia and wanted to make a British pecorino style, which I think she is just absolutely nailed. So let's give it a go. Delicious. So one thing you're going to notice is that texture is quite dry, you know, for an aged pecorino style, manchego style, kind of parmesan-y as well, all those worlds colliding into one. It's got that dry texture, you know, and that dry texture kind of pushes down the acidity. There's a little bit of nutty sweetness there, but not overarching, but a strong savoury, you know, roast lamb kind of elements to it. Not too lamby, not too noticeable, and then the dryness kind of evaporates, you know, and you get left with that deep kind of brothy umami-ness that's there. But such like a Moorish cheese, like you want more and more of it. It's a really remarkable profile at the moment. It's nice to start us off with this dry one because we're going to move you into something that has huge amounts of moisture in it, which is Tunworth. Tunworth is made down in Hampshire by Stacey Hedges. It's Romain Blanc said it's the best camembert in the world. For a Frenchman to say that, that's pretty massive. I always like to open with that one because I think it's very important. But we keep these a little bit longer. So we want to get that breakdown. So these come into us, you know, differently every now and again, but normally a brilliant, bright kind of white mould that's on the top there, you know. And that brilliant white mould is very similar to a camembert or brie style that you find. And then we'll turn these for 2 weeks, you know, twice a week, and really try and get a good breakdown. You can bake this cheese 180 degrees, but where we get it in this profile, you shouldn't have to. So on the massive cheese, you know, as a whole, you know, cabbagey, you know, you're getting that quite heavy. And then let me cut a little segment out of this. There you go. So we've got, it's pretty cold in here at the moment actually. You've got that kind of breakdown that's going on the outside, so room temperature, this will come all the way through, and a light bit of freshness in the middle, which is kind of what we want to see to bring those two worlds together. So when the cheese is cut open, yeah, we're definitely getting that cabbage, Brussels sprouts, mushroomy, girole kind of vibe going on, which is atypical with a lot of camembert styles. We've got a nice pudginess that's on there. Yeah, and a good breakdown that's going on. So let's give it a taste. That's really nice to fall in after the dryness of the Spenwood. That high moisture content, that lactic middle that's coming through, delivering us that milky, dairy, grassy flavours. And then your nostrils haven't betrayed you. You know, you're getting that cabbage, Brussels sprouts, slightly meaty vibe on this, and a slight bit of pepperiness from the breakdown that's going on the outside, but nothing too bad. It's like nicely balanced. It's a really great cheese. And if you do want to cook this cheese up, 180 degrees, 5 to 7 minutes, and you'll be golden. Next cheese up. So we've got that cabbagey going in there. Then we move into a brand new cheese to us, which we're really proud to have here, made by Paul and Sarah Appleby. It is the legendary Appleby's Cheshire. So they come into us like this. We're still learning how to work with one another at the moment. We're kind of sticking it with our territorial styles, the Wensley Downs, and really trying to push up that kind of growth that's on the outside. Smells really nice, you know, musty, but mushroomy, which is great. So this has come from one of those. Let me pop that back here. You know, first thing we're going to notice, you know, I've trained you all guys, you know, yellow normally indicates that it's cow's milk. White is a little bit more goaty. Orange is annatto. That's a little bit of colouring that they put in the milk. In the like Victorian areas, they used to put annatto in their milk to make it look more expensive. And it's just a tradition that's kind of been passed on and passed on. I think it's so great to get annatto on a cheese board, purely because it provides a colour contrast that visually can kick some kind of ideas off. But I have to say, like visually, and it says in the taste note, they are master cheesemakers. Look how thin that rind is on the outside. It's like perfect. And the granulation that runs all the way through there is just perfect. Like, you would be hard pressed to find, you know, someone who makes artisan Cheshires like this. I mean, it's phenomenal. And the smell that we immediately get is definitely that like minerality kind of from the region, a proper kind of terroir cheese. You know, it's a mixed herd. I was speaking to Sarah about this. They've kind of changed their herd in accordance to their makes over the years. I kind of like think it's like an evolutionary cow to kind of make the best Appleby's you could possibly ever make. So that grassiness is there, that lactic kind of note that you always get. You know, it's very light. It's very light, and that's why we want it kind of after the pungentness that we have on the Tunworth. So let's give it a taste. Like, it's so great to have it as our third cheese because it unlocks everything so well. It really puts a full stop on the camembert, on the Spenwood. Those grassy notes just deliver through. That slight kind of raw, nutty kind of elements that's in there. A little bit of mushroom that's kind of present is there as well, like butter mushroom kind of thing, but nothing too prominent. And just really, that moisture level is really nice. And it's just an easy cheese. It's just an easygoing cheese, which is amazing. So, really great cheese for us. Really happy to have it in the maturing rooms. Really excited to work with it over a number of years. So moving into our next cheese is Quick's Cheddar. So many of you may or may not know that I've entered in Affaire of the Year, which is being held on the 27th. Check out Affaire of the Year online. You can get tickets and come down where affineurs have matured one single cheese and matured it for a year, and we're going to come together and we're going to have a competition to see who's done the best. But really, it's a learning experience, and you know, our Fanage is still in its infancy in the UK, and it's just really exciting to be able to share that knowledge with everyone. So Quicks is made by Mary Quick, who's a legendary cheesemaker and an all-round lovely person. And yeah, they've also got their own Quicks cows, which are a hybrid between Friesians, Holsteins. I can't quite remember but it's quite a diverse mix of cows that they have, all designed to make the best cheddar they can possibly. So this is a traditional cloth-bound cheddar. So let's cut into that and see what we're getting from it. So in comparison to the Appleby's, where the lactic is quite mellow, you know, this is acidic tang. You know, it's got that typical cheddar notes that are in there, little bit of caramel, little bit of savouriness, that nuttiness is in there as well. There's a lot of stuff going on. Ever so slightly cowy, I would say, to a certain degree. The texture is great, got a good breakdown all the way through actually, generally just gradual. So let's give it a go. Chewy, juicy, which is nice. Savouriness coming in, bacony, smoky bacon, a little bit of minerality that's in there, maybe inching on the bitter notes that are kind of more tonic-y, I suppose. That savouriness is coming through, that cow element is present, little crystal in there, great news, I know everyone loves those, just got one of those. As it leaves the palate, it becomes more aromatic, kind of more perfumey, I suppose, on the palate. And then more salty, savoury, a little bit of kind of astringency, pigwancy, I suppose, at the end. Great cheddar, guys. That's really good. I think you've got to enjoy that, particularly in this lineup. I think like one after the other, they all lend something to each other. The contrast between the lactic of the Appleby's and the tang of the cheddariness of the Quicks is really nice, and that brothiness keeps on giving. Tons of longevity in Quicks, which is great. Final cheese up, one of my favourites, Cropwell Biscuits Stilton. You know, I was trying to work out what would go well with this. We're missing, you know, simple flavours, sweet, salty, savoury, acidity, bitterness. What are we missing in these four cheeses? It feels like that element of bitterness for me. And when I was tasting all my blues that are coming through this month, Dorset Blue Vinny, Beauval, Spark and Hoe Blues and Shropshire Blues, I felt like this really kind of anchored in an area which kind of really made me happy with the bitterness to provide that contrast to the board. So let's cut into it. First things up, ultimately creamy. Like, I mean, it's really sticking together. You know, you put it in your fingers, you can feel that stickiness, which is great. The aroma, that hoppiness is there, that bitterness is there that we would expect. You know, maybe a little bit too on the bitterness, that cream, kind of like soured cream a little bit, it is reminiscent in there. So let's pop it in and see what we think. Ooh, excuse me. Stunning. Coats the palate in a completely different way from the last four cheeses. Really, as soon as it gets to that mouth temperature, dissipates immediately. That digestive hoppy note we're talking about bursts out. The bitter element does take over a bit. There's a higher level of astringency that's in there. But I think it's like a really welcome break to kind of where it is. That sweet cream that's there. But do you know what I'd advise? That if this is a little bit too much for you, pop it on one of these lovely biscuits. Let those fruits, those dried fruits in there, do some of the heavy lifting for the sweetness, which really pushes back that kind of that bitterness. It lets it take a step back. So it's proving too strong for you. Utilize some of these. And that's it. That's your 5 cheeses that I've selected for you. I think this is like an absolute banger. It's like, it's not too aggressive. There's so many interesting different techniques and textures and styles and flavors. I think this is like a really good all-encompassing 5 cheese board, and I think it's got something for everyone. And I think it's got elements of that challenge that you want. You want to be challenged a little bit rather than playing it safe. So I'm really, really, really happy with these 5 cheeses, and I hope you guys are too. So thank you for supporting us. We're an independent business and we love you guys buying our cheese, and we love hearing all the feedbacks. Remember to leave a review on the website. Love to know what you think about our cheeses, what we could do better, what if we've done everything perfect, just let us know. That's always great to hear. But yeah, just love to communicate. So have a lovely Easter, enjoy your cheeses, and I'll see you next time.